The so-called $8 billion scandal shaking Minnesota refers to an expanding series of fraud investigations involving state-managed social service programs, most prominently the Feeding Our Future case, alongside emerging allegations of Medicaid, housing, and autism service fraud. While the original federal indictment centered on roughly $250 million in pandemic-era nutrition program fraud, one of the largest COVID relief schemes ever charged, the scandal has since widened. Lawmakers and federal oversight officials now argue that systemic weaknesses across multiple welfare programs may have allowed billions in improper payments, prompting some media outlets and political figures to frame the issue as an $8 billion crisis encompassing years of mismanagement and lax oversight. The initial case involved Feeding Our Future and a network of associated businesses and nonprofits accused of inventing meal sites, falsifying invoices, fabricating lists of children, and using shell companies to siphon federal child nutrition funds. Although the program was designed to support low-income families during the pandemic, prosecutors said much of the money was instead spent on luxury goods, real estate, and personal enrichment. The scandal soon drew national attention because of its scale, its audacity, and its exposure of deep vulnerabilities within Minnesota's welfare funding systems. In the aftermath, scrutiny broadened to other programs, including housing stabilization services, Medicaid reimbursements, and autism therapy centers, where whistleblowers and state workers alleged patterns of inflated service claims, non-existent clients, and inadequate auditing procedures. Critics have argued that these failures reflect long-standing structural problems: fragmented oversight, slow interagency communication, over-reliance on self-reported data from service providers, and insufficient fraud detection mechanisms. Political pressure intensified as federal lawmakers demanded explanations from Governor Tim Walz and state agencies. Oversight committees accused the administration of ignoring early warning signs and, in some cases, obstructing investigations or mishandling evidence. Social service employees publicly stated that leadership bore 100% responsibility for the breakdown, while state Republicans accused the governor of cover-ups and institutional negligence. Some federal officials also suggested that the scandal disproportionately involved providers linked to Minnesota's Somali community, which in turn sparked debates about unfair stigmatization, racial framing, and immigrant community scapegoating. In response, Governor Walz introduced a legislative package to tighten fraud enforcement, expand investigative units, and increase regulatory powers over service providers. Proposals for an independent inspector general's office have gained traction as lawmakers emphasize the need for transparent, depoliticized oversight. Yet critics warn that aggressive crackdowns may unintentionally harm vulnerable populations if legitimate service providers face excessive bureaucratic barriers or discriminatory scrutiny. Ultimately, the Minnesota scandal highlights broader national concerns: how to balance rapid public benefit distribution with accountability, how to build fraud-resilient welfare systems, and how to prevent emergency relief programs from becoming targets for systemic abuse. While the precise financial scale remains contested, the political and institutional consequences are significant. The controversy has become a symbol of the tension between social safety net expansion and the need for rigorous, independent oversight to maintain public trust in government programs.